And then we wanted, then we came across this rehabilitation, and we saw here we can actually make an impact, and we can move and change something. And this is how we started then in the rehabilitation field. And through these trade fairs, we got the positive feedback from patients, from therapists, from doctors, from insurance companies. Hey, there is no similar product.
Yeah.
From
And
the
it is unique,
patients.
actually, to be honest. It is unique.
Very
Unique.
innovative. Hi, welcome to our podcast, iStoria.
Hey, thank you very much for the invitation to your podcast.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, it was really amazing to meet you in person. And actually, now we are excited to introduce you in iStoria, which is basically telling more stories about entrepreneurship. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, can you tell us about yourself, your background, and whatever you can start wherever you feel comfortable.
All right. Yeah. So my name is Gernot Zimmermann. I'm from Germany. I was born in Cologne in Germany, and then moved for study purpose to Aachen, to the RWTH Aachen University, to start by my mechanical engineering studies. And then at some point I did start my first startup.
Oh, that's great. So your background is engineering.
Yes. Unfortunately, I couldn't finish yet my degree. I'm still working on it. So I do write like 2-3 exams every semester.
Wow. And you run your startup.
Yes.
That's really brave. That's really brave. So tell us more about what is the story behind being in this field, and we are excited to know more about your product as well.
Yes, so actually I started already in school with a school project. That's now nearly 10 years ago, 2013, where we developed a glove for the virtual reality. You might know at that time there came out the first virtual reality headset.
Yes.
So some headset you put in front of your eyes to enter the virtual environment from Oculus, the development kits. And I was really excited to test that and to feel that. However, what I quickly realized, they just had like controllers with buttons.
Yes.
And therefore, there was something missing, like the hands to actually interact in this virtual environment. And not just putting the hands into the environment, but also returning something. So if I grab a virtual object, that I will feel a virtual resistance, and then that I can also feel a texture. So for example, grabbing a cup of coffee, that I feel it actually in my hand.
Yeah.
So that was the basic idea why we started to think, how can we make this possible? And therefore started to develop a glove that can pull back your fingers in the moment you touch that object, and then over vibrational feedback can also give a feedback over the texture of the object. And then through a friend who suffered at the age of 15 of a stroke, we came across the rehabilitation and how monotonous and time-intensive rehabilitation exercises can be. So for him, it took more than 2 years every day pushing a rubber ball to train his hand function. And of course, this is very unmotivating and time-intensive, boring, and so on. And so we thought, okay, we developed a glove which can measure every finger movement. Why don't we combine the exercises which are necessary with motivating computer games through our glove? So this is how we started with this idea. We participated in the competition Jugend forscht. That's Europe's largest youth competition, where we got into the final stage and received several awards. And then we were invited to several trade fairs like Medica, ReaCare, Gamescom. So these are big medical trade fairs. And there we showcased our prototype at that time and showed like, hey, what do people think about combining rehabilitation with computer games?
So it started at first from being motivated and passionate about the virtual reality, let's say, like in from your perspective, and then after that, your friend, like what happened to him, and then how you rehelp. Like in the idea itself, like now it's turning into medical equipment that's really inspiring, to be honest. Like it's really amazing.
Yeah. So at first you were curious about when did you like? I know that virtual reality started early 10 years ago, maybe, or like around that time, and you felt like you can see everything virtually, but the senses you wanted to feel.
Exactly. So this was the basic idea, which we developed on like for 1 year, and then we had our first prototypes, and then we wanted. Then we came across this rehabilitation, and we saw here we can actually make an impact, and we can move and change something, and this is how we started then in the rehabilitation field. And through these trade fairs, we got the positive feedback from patients, from therapists, from doctors, from insurance companies. Hey, there is no similar product.
Yeah.
From
And
the
it is very
patients.
unique, actually, to be honest. It is unique.
Very
Unique.
innovative.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of like going to motivation things, like I can like if I have a problem with my hand, instead of just like doing regular exercise that is unmotivated, I was just gonna go with this product, and then like, oh, I can use, I lose the time, and then I do the rehabilitation.
Exactly. So improving your health while playing a game. So it's a very nice combination. And this is what we experienced on the trade fairs, that patients also loved the product. So people who had problems in their hand through several reasons, like it can be a stroke, it can be rheumatism, Parkinson, it can be like an injury, it can be a spinal cord injury. So there can be so many cases why the hand has some like dysfunctionality, which could use some rehabilitation and some training. And yeah, this is how it started. And then we thought, okay, if there is demand on the market and we can actually help people, why don't we bring this product to the market? Easier said than done.
Yes, it is always like that.
We didn't know about like the medical field, how difficult it can be, and like how long a certification process can take.
Yeah.
But this is then something we realized over that time, starting from them.
So you started with the idea, and then actually taking your idea to the actual market is a process. And can you tell us a little bit more about the difficulties maybe you faced? Because this is inspiring.
Which is a challenge,
Yeah.
and as well as like to see it in a real world now internationally, that will be like really gonna cure a lot of people who have been very patient with the treatment, and now they can see it in a entertainment way as well.
Yes. So as I was at that time still 17 years old, just finished then the school and went to university. I didn't have much experience about anything around the topic of startup. So I just went to visit some like entrepreneurship organizations, which we have in Aachen, and try to get to know more about the topic, like who are other founders, what is their background, how did they start their business. And there was one business plan competition. So I thought, okay, maybe writing a business plan will help me to actually find a bit the direction, how we can get the financing, how can we make the funding, how can we make the prototype to a product, and so on. So I just started to write that business plan. At that time, we weren't yet sure, like, okay, medical field is like really relevant, but we also thought like, can we not at the same time bring it into VR space? Can we not at the same time use it as a controller in like other fields? And then through this business plan writing, we started then to see, okay, where can we go and how difficult would it be, like more or less. And then we came across our first accelerator program, Brightlands Innovation Factory in the Netherlands. So there we took part to actually get to know this business side, because till then I started my mechanical engineering study, so I was more on the science side.
Science fair.
Science.
Yes, I really like to develop the product, to like do the electronics in there, to do the hardware in there, and so on, and like programming. But I didn't have the idea. Okay, how do I sell the product? How do I set a price? Even
The
how
business
do I
side of
do
things.
the marketing? Exactly. So through that accelerator, we tried to learn that side and get to know how to do the business. And then we also sharpened our business, like focused, which was pretty relevant
Yeah.
to actually know where are you exactly heading towards to. So then we said like, okay, let's focus us just on the medical field, just on the rehabilitation. And this is how it got started, that we had to start with the clinical side, like which certification do we
That
need,
it need to be, because usually it takes a little bit time. Like, if you want to go for specific countries, that's another regulations and rules to process it. So yeah, I mean, like, it takes time, but the reward is really amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
So in Europe, luckily we have like one standard. It's the CE certification,
Yeah.
which is in whole Europe. So we had just to try to get to know that for the beginning. So there are like 3 classes: class 1, class 2, class 3. These are risk classes. So class 1 product is very simple. Class 2 is a bit more difficult. And class 3 is like the very hard medical devices, which are usually inside of the body. Like, for example, for the heart or
The EKG and
Yes.
stuff like that. Oh.
and which have the most risk to actually damage the human, to harm the human. And at that time, our glove, as I previously explained, he could stop the fingers and move the fingers.
Wow.
So
Okay.
to actually, we thought in rehabilitation, we can use that to help the patients move their fingers, even if they don't have yet the functionality.
Is it like kind of operation that gives a little bit?
It's actually fairly easy. It was just like strings on both sides of the hands, and motors could pull the strings in both directions. What made it unique is that you can move your finger freely, and still the motor can move your finger if needed. So this like gear system, this is something which we also registered under a patent. So this was like the first patent that we found. And then we wanted to bring it into the rehabilitation to help the fingers to move. Kind of, you can imagine it as an e-bike. So it will support your movement.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
what we wanted is that this support lowers and lowers over the time. So you start with 100% support, and at the end it will go to 0%, and you can have your full range of motion with your fingers.
And fully recover.
Yes, exactly. However, what we then realized is when we move the fingers, when we put energy on the body, we are in a risk in the class 2 product, because we might break the finger. Okay, so strong were not the motors, but still, like there is a risk. And so we put a lot of effort in making a product which we realized it's a very high risk class, and this is very expensive to bring to the market.
I see.
It takes a lot of money to make such product.
Yes, like the certification, so making all the documents, getting a notified body which proves all the documents, which performs several testings and so on. So we developed like 2 years on this glove which can move your fingers until we realized, hey, we cannot bring this product on the market because it's too difficult and too expensive for us as a small startup. And this was one major drawback, because we worked so long on a product where we had the finished product in our hand, but we realized we cannot bring it to the patients because it doesn't work. So on the trade fair, we even had like the situations that parents of their children
Yeah.
who wanted to buy the glove for their children just said to us like,
Oh.
can you not just give me the glove after the trade fair?
Oh.
We will not tell anyone that you don't have certification and so on.
Because they saw it like it's
yes.
very easy to use, but yet still like it's not in the market.
Yeah, they saw the need and they wanted to use it for their child because it was working, but we didn't have the certification, so we were not allowed to sell to them. So they wanted to just have it under the hand, like sold to
because
us.
they saw the potential, they believed in it. It actually obviously works, but as you said,
Yes.
you like that was a major drawback, you would call it, an obstacle.
Absolutely. And then what we of course then did, like removing features.
Okay.
So it's kind of the opposite way of MVP, like a minimum viable product.
Yeah.
That we went like full functionality because we came from this engineering side. Hey, this is easy to integrate. This is easy. Let's do more sensors. Let's do more.
Okay.
And also the therapists, like everything we asked them, they said, yes, that's very nice. Please integrate that. So we asked them,
and
like,
it's kind of possible, like to process it in
Yes.
specific ways.
So we asked them, for example, hey, is it helpful if the fingers could be actively moved? And they said, yeah, sure. Like you should integrate that.
Okay.
Then we asked them, would it be helpful if we have like force sensors in the glove so you can actually measure the forces applied by the hand? They said, like, yes, that's great. That's great.
Wow.
We need that.
It's getting
And
like
then-
improved.
Yes, and
By timing.
then we asked like, how about vibrational feedback? Would that help like on every finger? Yes, please integrate that as well. And
It's getting like more questions and more answers. It's not
Yes.
possibility. It's not
So-
like question and then concern and then there is no possibility. I mean, like this is kind of like going to the ladder. Like
Exactly. Then,
Wow.
then we asked like, should we also do sensors on the last finger joints? They said yes, definitely. In some cases, this can be of a help. And so we just believed and trusted in their expertise to just integrate everything. And then realizing we cannot bring this product to the market like that was like such
Yeah,
yeah,
it
such
was
a
like
pity. And so then what we did, we started to remove the features and make it more lightweight. And what we realized then, hey, they want still to buy it. They even want to buy it without these features. And we were like, why did we ask you previously if you now would still buy it?
okay,
they made you
but-
work a lot.
Yes,
like this and that.
absolutely.
They can add this. They can add this.
Sometimes when you ask experts, they would maybe confuse you, you would say.
Is that?
Oh, yeah.
Is
So
that
you have
the-
to follow your own gut.
Yeah. Or maybe like try to figure out in the first
In the
place
pl-
what is really needed or
Yes.
what is something that is already enough. Like really
Yeah.
this MVP way
Yeah.
that maybe just one feature can be such a game changer. Like in our case, having sensors to connect games with the rehabilitation exercises.
Yeah.
That was already like everything the people wanted. And therefore this was then our goal. Okay, let's make it easier.
It started from that
remove
point.
it from remove some features, and then we even removed more features, and then we removed more features.
And it became more easier.
Yes, absolutely. And which was very good for us because what we realized with the first version, we had a target price of 5,000 euros per
okay.
glove.
Okay.
That might sound now really a lot.
yeah, it is.
However,
When I
if
heard
you-
it from
Yeah.
from the first side, like 5,000. Okay, that's a rehabilitation.
But if you look on the medical device
Yeah, yeah,
market,
yeah.
and like in this area, there were devices between 12,000 euros and 30,000 euros per glove.
Wow.
Per glove.
Yes.
Oh.
Wow. That's
So extremely expensive.
Extremely expensive and tiring, even like for the parents or
Yeah, like the thing in the medical market, usually not the the ones who suffer are actually buying the product. Rather, in this case, it is like the hospitals get the system,
Yes.
and then people go there and train
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
hospital.
Oh, so it's not the product at that stage was not available for sale for the patients.
It
but
wasn't intended, yes.
It wasn't intended. So they come to the hospital and use it
Exactly.
as a device. in the
So what we
hospital.
thought is, okay, the hospital can just buy like 5 devices,
Yeah.
and people can train at the same time, and this will enable the hospital to have group sessions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So multiple patients can train, they can have more patients, and so on, and save costs.
Yeah, yeah.
So we thought, okay, this might be good. However, what we had still in mind, okay, but our friend, what about him? Like, if you are not anymore too connected to the hospital, what do? If you are at home, you don't want to go directly to the
Yeah.
hospital every time to train.
And then it depends. Maybe this, like for example, in terms of, do I have to go 3 times a week as a therapy, or is it going to be twice a week? And is it going to be enough for me to recover? Some people, they really had some accident and they wanted to recover as soon as possible. And some of them, they said like, okay, maybe I will just be patient and just do rehabilitation by myself. So
Yeah,
it is
the
it is really-
convenience
yeah.
for the patient.
Absolutely. And so then we thought, okay, we want to enable that every patient can train at home with the glove. And so we thought, okay, 5,000, that's not possible. Like, even if the insurance pays it,
Yeah.
it's a high risk, like having 5,000 euro device at your home. So then we thought, okay, then we need to optimize here. We need to maybe remove even more features
Okay.
and try to reduce the cost. So we had to also change then the electronics setup and redeveloped the electronics again. And then we were able to cut the cost under
Yeah.
1,000 euros, and it was finally really affordable for the patients themselves to train at home. And that was like then finally a product where we arrived, and then
Yeah.
we had this device and we performed our testing with it. Like, we also need, like, for example, the electric magnetical tests,
Yeah, yeah.
so conformity and writing all the technical documentation for a medical device.
Yeah.
And when we finally did all of this, then we had a glove that we could sell. So we went into mass manufacturing, like making more gloves of it,
Yeah.
and having now this glove also as a mass manufactured product.
Amazing.
Started the first clinical trials, like bigger clinical trials with the glove. So we can have also like more results that show in percentage how much are we improving the rehabilitation, which we can use then for the insurance companies.
That's really great and inspiring story, to be honest. Like, I was touched. And also in my case, during the timing that we met, I tried to use the way that the glove, how it react, and from the gaming itself is like I was enjoying while catching up with the specific it was kind of 5 to 6 games. So I tried like 2, and it was really like amazing. It's like, I did not realize that how much I spend the time, and yet I felt like it's really great.
That's perfect. That's exactly how it should be.
Okay.
That you
okay.
enjoy the training and actually forget that you're playing. So this is also what keeps me motivated, and like also the others in the team, to really see patients from having a smile in their face,
it
and
was
then training for a long time.
It's like catching up like a game. Like it was like,
it's an interactive and
Yeah.
gives the patient, they forget the pain, kind of. They go through therapy easier, the physiotherapy, and you making that possible with your team is just so amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to ask how long it took you to reach the final product. Years, in matter of years.
So we did start the company itself 2016, and then we did the certification in 2020 and started the clinical trials in 21, and then now 22 we are able to also sell it and are now in 10 countries on 3 continents with our glove.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
I hope that you will be reaching all the 7 continents by 2023.
Including Antarctica.
No, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe there will
The
be a
6
possibility.
continents.
Yeah, okay, 6 continents. But to be honest, like we don't know. If
Yeah,
somebody
maybe
will-
some people are in
Yeah.
Antarctica and
You never know.
suffering through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, I heard some stories of the people who do scientific research in
Yes.
Antarctica, and because of the cold weather, they need
To train.
to train
And like
because
to keep it warm.
to keep it warm.
Yeah.
So maybe you're gonna add heating feature. Look at
Maybe.
that. I'm like the therapist who were like asking you to integrate. Yeah.
There are always new application
Yes.
fields we see, and this is really nice. So this
Yeah.
week, for example, we spoke with a larger pharmaceutical company about integrating also or using the glove also for people with dementia, so Alzheimer,
Oh yes.
because there
yeah.
are clinical evidence that by movement of fingers and like having brain activity,
Yeah.
you will slow down
The process
this-
of
yes,
dementia.
so the degeneration. So therefore, we also want to try to bring it into that field because, of course, everyone knows we have
Yeah.
a growing elderly population.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
therefore, like dementia, Alzheimer is a growing topic.
Yes.
And if we can help here to slow down the process and like really help again elderly people
Yeah.
Yeah.
by having fun in the games and moving their fingers and having exercises, that would be like I think a very, very big help
Yes.
to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So as a startup, I feel like anyone who is in startup or entrepreneurship always start with why I'm doing this. So the bigger your why is, your how
It's
becomes
how-
it shows the way. So what was your biggest why?
I mean, for us, a bit of a why is why was there no solution to make rehabilitation fun? Why does it need to be boring? And this is something we just wanted to solve to make people do their rehabilitation, because there are some statistics which say that 80% of the people stop their rehabilitation too early
Yes.
and don't finish. So we want to
That's a really big number.
Yes, decrease this number so like everyone should finish their rehabilitation.
Yes.
And then over the time we also realized in some countries actually there is not yet the possibility of a rehabilitation. So with our device we can enable a decentralized rehabilitation. So we have been, before Corona started,
Yeah.
in Africa and Rwanda, where we saw like just 0.8 therapists for over 100,000 people, which means you need to travel 2-3 hours to do a rehabilitation of like 15 minutes, which at the end means like no one does it.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the time is like almost like it doesn't make a lot of
The
effort.
logistics, the time, it's very tough.
And there we can enable like bringing our solution
Yeah.
into the small health centers that people just go there, train their hand, go home, and still the therapist out of the large hospitals could monitor them over the distance. So really enabling here a rehabilitation. Or
Yeah.
for example, in China, there's a bit of a different problem. There
Yeah.
we have also just 3.6 therapists
Okay.
for 100,000 people, which means in their case, you have a lot of people for the same hospital. So the hospitals are overcrowded,
Yeah.
and the government tries to find solutions. How can we bring people home for their training to enable them a training? So here we also try to be part then of these internet hospitals
Okay.
that people can actually train from their home and yes, do the rehabilitation from home.
Okay. If I would say the name of the product, what is the name of the product? And plus, what was the inspiring part that you get from the name of the product?
Yeah. Well,
I
Yeah.
know about the product, the function, everything, but the name of the product must be a story about it.
Do you know the name of the product?
I would like to know.
yeah, with the correct pronunciation.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it
Ah,
is,
you
if it-
mean the German one?
Yes.
yeah.
The German one is the same as the English one. It just is translated. So the German version is Reha-Handschuh, and the English version is Rehabilitation Glove.
Oh, okay.
It is a very unspectacular
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
So we thought, because our company name is Synteract, and Synteract stands for cyber interaction. So this has a meaning.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
And-
that's what is the name. Because, like, we will tell you also about the iStoria, why
Yes.
we mention it in that way.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
cyber
Interaction.
Cyber interaction.
Yes,
Okay.
that's why Synteract.
Synteract.
It's like
That's smart. Who you
Thank
came
you.
up with that?
yes, like we and I think like a naming is always a pretty fun thing for a
Yes.
startup,
Yeah.
and it also takes a lot of time. and,
Yeah.
Exactly.
like to research a good name, which
Yeah.
like in our case, I wanted to have something which cannot be found on Google yet.
Yes.
So I just tried different things, and like Synteract, nothing came up, like zero search results. And I thought, like, that's amazing. If
Yeah.
no one uses it yet,
Then
like
it's
this
it's
word,
it's like
then
car.
yes,
now.
it's like a completely new word.
Yeah.
And every search result which will pop up in the future
It will
is
it will
connected
direct
to
you.
us.
Yes.
Simple and also amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, a little
However.
bit we experience like Synteract is not that easy and like for everyone. I don't know why. Like if I read it, I read Synteract, but
Yeah.
some people read like the German way, like Synteract, and
Ah, okay.
like even worse.
Yeah.
I can't even do it. Like some people do it. So what we thought then, why having a product name which is also complicated? So like Synteract is unique, and if we just say the Synteract glove, then everyone knows. And then it even makes us unique because people will say like, hey, do you already train with that glove? And then, oh yeah, I do train with that glove. And like that just glove is the topic, and everyone knows, okay, it's coming from Synteract. So yeah, the
Yeah.
That's really
I saw your faces like hearing the name glove and didn't expect it to be that simple and
yeah. I
like,
did not
direct.
expect that. Yeah.
Yes. You can see our reaction.
The expression
so-
is already shown.
Everyone in the podcast who doesn't see the video, he was
Yeah.
like
Oh, it's like
more very depressed.
Yeah.
Kind
No.
of
You guys,
face.
whoever is like listening, go to YouTube. We are there.
yeah. We can.
You would enjoy this
Definitely.
podcast like with our facial expressions and as well. This is so fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thumbs up for really like what you have accomplished so far. And we wanted to know if a person would to have it in terms of just having the product without going to the clinic. Is it also possible to have it like internationally, like selling through the online e-commerce platform as well?
Yeah,
Like
so-
now you started like or
Yeah, we do have our online web shop on our own, and so you can easily buy it. And like this is like then the easiest way for the
easiest way.
patients. Just go online, go in the shop, put it in the cart, like you do it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
that it's directly from us, so you can support you if you need.
Yeah, check it out, you guys. It's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the description box
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
we were gonna
Add
link
your-
you
yeah.
all the platforms that people who are listening to this podcast actually. There is a lot of people, they have been suffering from accident or like let's say from their childhood, let's say maybe kind of I would say
Even like people who play sports.
yeah people who really
Anyone in once in a lifetime goes through injuries, whether it's like
Yes.
yeah. So this is
Yeah,
like-
last week
yeah.
at the embassy, I also met a basketball player,
Mm-hmm.
and he said the same. Like he had like a lot of wrist issues,
Mm-hmm.
and that's also why he stopped at the end the training. And he said like this, I would have loved to do this as my rehabilitation instead.
yes, and you give people hope back to come back to their daily life and their hobbies and their way of living.
Or family and friends, like
Exactly.
maybe your grandfather.
Yeah.
yeah
We had a lot of these cases, like the child or someone is calling us and telling the story or about their child having suffered of an injury or something, and therefore needs a device. And like this is really then something which keeps us moving
Motivated and
Motivated and-
moving
Yes.
and
like hearing this personal stories.
yes.
There was a once I remember a woman who was very old, and because she suffered in the World War II
Oh.
of an injury, and like this is so long ago, and she read about us in a newspaper article,
Okay.
and she was so moved, and like was like tearing about this, that there is finally a
The
solution.
solution.
And
She
this
had been
was
looking
like,
for maybe for a long time. Maybe she
Yes.
did a lot of
It's futuristic, actually.
yeah. I mean, like in an easy way.
Imagine you said she's from World War II, so she was maybe
Wow.
imagining this and like manifesting that, and then
And it
of
happened.
course she teared up when she saw the
Aw.
solution.
and this is like really nice, moving
Yes,
uh,
definitely.
experiences, which like you just can experience if you have such a social startup.
Interaction.
Yeah,
And also-
like also startup and product,
Yeah.
because when you imagine, okay, you have now a food product, or
Yeah.
okay, maybe in food you can also
yeah.
awake emotion, but some gadget,
Yeah.
then you will probably not experience this.
Yes. The human side of the product. It's not just for the money, it's not for the, it's actually changing people's lives.
Creating
So-
impact.
Yeah,
That's
creating impact.
Like my personal motto
Yeah.
in life is to change the world by innovation and creating impact, therefore. So yeah.
You are doing that, and
Actually-
it's amazing. Like we got so
I
touched.
can't wait to see like because like now all of us in Korea, and this is how we met you. I can't wait to see like this project is gonna be growing in Southeast Asia, because many people I have seen, like even in the offices, they always like have problems. They have so many things, like they have treatment and so on. So it would be really great to also start in South Korea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
wish you really good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
yeah, and so I want to explore a little bit more about you as a person, your daily behavior, or what keeps you motivated besides what you do what you love for a living.
I do, yeah. I mean, for a living is like a bit too far, because
Yeah.
not yet. We cannot yet earn enough money to pay ourselves,
Yeah,
but hopefully that will come soon.
yeah,
And to be able to also really live from that.
yeah.
And not just that, I previously mentioned it a little bit. I don't have just one startup. I did start 3 startups.
Yeah, please mention
Yeah.
about it.
So,
yeah.
there
Go
are
ahead.
there are 2 more stories if you want to hear
Yes.
them.
Sure,
definitely,
Go
yeah.
ahead. It's your mic. Go ahead.
Asleep.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, we are really here to hear the stories, and everyone on this platform is actually thinking of living their highest self potential, and that's why we are here in iStoria, which means I don't know when you saw the name iStoria, what did you think about?
I mean, there is the story inside.
Yes.
Yes,
then
exactly.
that's
So
very
it's
obviously.
yeah, we were also like Centric, your company name, like Cyber Interact. We were like exploring story, but story is like a common name. But
It's
then
just like
we,
in books, you can just find it in.
and we
like
were also
hearing it.
we were also like searching how can I find the word storia or something related to story, but so we searched and we found out that iStoria is derived from a Greek and Latin word, which means learning through research.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
So the whole word means that?
Yes, iStoria, literally. We were thinking like
And then
my story,
yes,
iStory, and
that
then
makes
no,
so
it doesn't
much-
work. So I said like I and then story. So it's like I talk about my story.
yeah, and it came as actually literally a word that says that. And I heard also it's in some languages it's also called history, I think in Italian.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, stories are history as well. So we will be legends.
Did you start with the iStoria or
Yeah.
first the Greek? Like, did you find the Greek afterwards, or
Afterwards.
it
Yeah.
came up. It came up after, like
Yeah.
going like for deep down. Like, does it mean this way? Does it mean that way? But
yeah.
first, it's like to tell a story need to have a unique name. So we search, and this is how it came up.
It was born.
perfect?
So tell us Your
second.
entrepreneur mind. Let's
Yeah.
navigate more into that.
Let's open the book
The
number
ba-
2.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
So actually, here it started with the same organization which we had at Syntract at the very beginning, the Aachener Entrepreneurship Team. It's a student initiative connecting founders who are students with with students who want to be a founder.
Oh,
So
okay.
like just sharing their knowledge and connecting.
Mm-hmm.
And there, my now co-founder Stefan pitched the idea. So he did his PhD in chemistry,
Okay.
and he also did his like work in the lab, chemistry lab, and he pitched the idea that he went for running because he likes running. Maybe I guess a lot of listeners here do like
As an
running.
athlete, let's say like a marathon, mostly in marathon, like he
No,
likes
no,
it.
like less than that.
Ah,
But
okay.
It's just
what-
his hobby to run.
Yes, yes. And what he had is that he just took off his shoes and like had this smell. Like maybe some people
yeah.
All
know
of
it.
us. I mean, in winter,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It comes.
I mean,
we are
this is-
humans. We are full of chemicals. So
Yeah.
That is superhuman because
Yes,
I mean,
superhuman, yeah.
just as an explanation, we have bacteria on our skin,
Yes.
yes,
and this is very natural.
Yeah.
And the bacteria is, of course, therefore also in the textile, and it likes to eat our sweat. So if
Yes.
we
Yes.
sweat, it eats the sweat and will digest it and give out like
The odor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the isovaleriansäure acid,
acid. Yeah,
which then makes this unpleasant smell.
yeah.
And so he had that and realized, hey, in the laboratory, I do have a possibility to remove that smell with physical methods. So this is how the idea started. And that is what he presented that day. Like, hey, why don't we use physical methods to remove the odor out of shoes? And then there was a whole discussion. And I met Stefan back again like 2 weeks later on a different event. And then we started talking about it. Like I said, I did thought about it. I also researched a bit about it. And he didn't find anything. So that's why he was passionate about like, why is there no solution to clean your shoes? You can't
Exactly.
put them in the washing machine, right?
Yes.
And that's how the journey started. And I said, like, yeah, I already have a startup. I built a glove for the rehabilitation. I think I can also build here a product. I have a kind of an idea how we can realize it, how we can put all the technologies together in a product that can actually be sold. So yeah, this is how we basically came together. Then we built our first prototype, took part in some TV show, and
Nice.
then with this prototype, we saw, hey, it does work. It does exactly what we want. It removes the odor in 30 minutes, and that's like perfect because the refresher box works with a combination of physical methods to kill any bacteria, any fungi, any virus, any other microorganisms in the textile, and therefore removes the source of the odor. And this is how we started. And then we thought, okay, if we can clean shoes, why can we not just clean any textile? Because leather shoes, sports shoes, they have so many materials.
Yeah.
Of course, we can clean any textile. So we thought, okay, let's just make this product larger
Okay.
and use it for any textile. And this is how we started from just a small project into coming into a startup, because we realized, hey, we can just freshen up any textile, like a suit, like any also like material from cashmere, silk, wool, whatever. And we made a product out of it and realized, hey, we just built kind of a washing machine without water and without chemicals.
Wow.
And this was then the
I'm
beginning
so
to
curious as to get that product.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can just imagine it kind of like a locker. like a usual wardrobe, like
Mm-hmm.
very small, like a locker, and you just hang in your clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start the process, and after 30 minutes, you can take it out again. So super simple and effective. So what yeah, so we built that product, and we saw like, hey, we can do more than just removing the odor. We can actually save valuable resources, because
Yeah.
just imagine yourself, how often do you wash clothes which don't have stains? Like, I mean,
It's exhausting.
you
to be
just
honest.
wash clothes
Yeah.
because they smell, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's fair. It,
Yes.
it is.
It's
it's
It is
okay.
what it is.
yeah.
But why not use a new technology, like thinking a very new way?
Yeah.
Because we wash now over a century just with water and chemicals, and
Yeah.
why not go a very different way? So we started really to get into that topic, and we saw like also other people working in this green technology. How can we save resources?
Yeah.
Because there is this great researcher, Professor Baumgartner, who said, like, it doesn't help if you slap your kid just one time instead of 3 times a day. You shouldn't slap your kid at all.
At all,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And kind of the same thing applies to the nature.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't help if we just like pollute our nature 10%. We shouldn't pollute it any.
At all.
So
yeah.
this is exactly the way we're trying to do. Like usual,
Get rid of the source of the problem itself.
yes. So usual washing machine manufacturers, they are just trying to improve their pump or
Yes.
like
Yes.
the electricity by another 5% every year. But it's still like with water and with chemicals. And with water and chemicals means more than just 2 products. It's actually 2 resources which have so much behind it. Like the water after
Yeah.
usage needs to be cleaned up. It needs to be transported to your home.
Yes.
It needs to be heated up, then it will cool down again. The
Yeah.
chemicals need to be manufactured, they need to be
Wow.
packaged, they need to be brown,
So
like
cut all
told
that.
to your
Yeah.
home.
To make
Yeah,
it, like,
like
more
everything of this done.
Yeah.
And also, of course, the topic of microplastic, everyone knows, I guess, nowadays about it. So all the textiles,
Yeah.
fibers, which go into our ocean because of washing. And
Yes.
therefore, yeah, like this started, and then we realized the first hotels asked us, like, can we use that product for our clients? Just 30 minutes to freshen up your suit. That's perfect. That's
Wow.
what we want to
Reducing
offer
much time,
them
and if
as
you
a
can-
service.
If you
Wow.
have, if you
So
have,
is it a chemical like product?
No, there is no chemical. No,
Nothing.
Like this
Okay.
is just physical.
It's a
Like
physical.
it's a combination of 4 physical methods. It's
Yeah.
like light of different wavelengths. It's
Ah.
active oxygen. It's temperature modes and air pressure. And with that combination,
Technology.
we can-
Innovative thing to.
yes, remove the odor out of the textile. And we also filed patents for removing actually stains without water and chemicals. However, we didn't want to make the same mistake as the glove, to make a featured product and then like too much research in that, and then
Yeah.
maybe having some hazards to bring it on the market. So this time we went MVP first.
Oh,
So we really start
for innovative guys, MVP first.
absolutely.
whoever wants to make any product, just go.
That's your keyword, MVP. Okay.
Definitely. So minimal viable product, just the feature, removing the odor. And we realized, hey, there are so many applications. Like the hotel industry is just one.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we have it now in Sheraton, in Steigenberger and Vermont hotels, like the big
The
hotel
Vermont,
chains.
Sheraton, and
Steigenberger and more. Like
And
these
more.
are just
Wow.
like the
Already your clients.
yes. So they're using our refresher box and they're happy to use it. So that's good.
What's your refresher box called?
Oh,
Yes.
the product is called refresher box.
That's it.
Yes.
That's simple as that.
Ah,
So
that-
simple.
The first time
Yet so
that I
effective.
introduced the name, true.
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
This time there were smiles. That's good. Not like with glove.
No, actually,
No,
I was-
actually, the rehabilitation glove was nice, but like This is, you don't need the vocabulary or anything. It's just there, as simple as that. But I think this came from your background and your understanding with the first product that you, and the whole process of the glove. Now, when you met your friend and you co-founded together this, you cut all the problems. So you already know.
Yeah,
And you
I
helped
mean,
And just
him.
like going to the
unfortunately,
yeah.
not all problems.
Yeah, but like,
but
a
like,
lot.
yes, yes.
yes, that.
we had some experience and therefore could use that
Yeah.
Okay.
for the next startup.
Yeah.
We didn't open yet the third book, so there will come even more problems, even though there were 2 startups up front.
Yeah.
But where were we with the refresher box?
Yeah.
Like we were in the hotel, so hotel is a market, but there we experienced, hey, people come up with so crazy ideas where to use it.
Yeah.
Like we have it now for sneaker cleaning. So you know, like the sneakers, they're
Yeah,
very
yeah.
expensive, like
It is
200
always.
to 2,000 euros for
Yeah.
one sneaker. And these people are very like cautious about their
Yeah, the
sneaker.
sneakers, yeah.
So of course they also want to remove the odor out
Yeah.
of it
Yes.
without damaging the textile. So
Yes, yes,
for
yes.
them it's impossible to put it in the washing machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually.
And therefore, like for them, it was a nice product that
Yeah.
that could be used, and which is now used in there. But there are also other markets which I personally didn't was aware of. You might know it. Denim jeans. Do you know denim
Yeah,
jeans?
yeah, yeah. Denim
Like,
jeans. Yeah.
these cowboy jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you never wash. You don't wash them because you want that there is like the oil of your skin in there. There is especially the characteristics in there.
Okay.
It's kind of
Okay.
like the cowboy style. So if you, for example, fall on the ground with the jeans, you will
Okay.
have a scratch in there. If you have your phone always in the same pocket,
Yeah.
pocket, you will see the like your phone
The,
stamp kind of, the
like
print,
a
yes.
footprint.
Yes,
Wow.
Interesting.
in your jeans, and what this trend is about, like that every jeans has its own characteristic.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
eventually.
therefore, the people who wear denim jeans, they like the real, they don't want to wash it because then the characteristic goes out of it.
Oh.
And which means,
Very
of course,
interesting.
there comes some odor over the time.
Yeah.
Eventually.
That's my question.
I was like,
Yeah.
Yes. So there,
Yeah.
that's where we come in now with the refresher box, because we can disinfect it without taking any of the characteristics. So another interesting use case we never thought about, which is not that much in Germany, I have to admit, but which is, for example, here in Japan.
okay.
And then, but also other use cases. So, for example, then coronavirus came up,
Yes.
and we heard like, okay,
Yeah.
there are no face masks anymore. There are no lab coats anymore, and we thought, okay, we always say we can disinfect the textile, so why not disinfect also like with the coronavirus? And so we performed testing in the laboratory and
Yeah.
showed, hey, okay, we can actually remove the coronavirus in 17 minutes. So to 100%. And that was then the lead into the hospitals. So like bringing it to the hospital so they could use it to disinfect their materials. So for example, the operation shoes. And then, I mean,
Like you are reducing the timing, like from everything.
But yeah, you created the solution that was, the problem came later and you are almost going to.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
didn't know before
Yeah.
coronavirus
Yeah,
that we
but-
want to disinfect face masks.
Yeah.
But this was then something we actually can do. And then there are more, like, for example, imagine you going to a bowling center
Okay.
and
Yeah.
you grab these bowling shoes of the last person and they're still like a little bit wet. And you don't want to imagine
yes,
what's
not
all
always.
in there. And of course, like this small one-time spray, what try to do in there. This is more like just an illusion.
Yes.
Even
It doesn't work,
if
yeah.
we speak to the bowling centers, they admitted themselves, like, we just do it so people think there
That
is
Yeah.
something.
we did it like
Yes.
for sale.
But it's not actually a full solution because they don't have the solution themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there again, a market. Or like what we came across is like in the Hollywood or like the costumes area, like cinema and
Yeah.
like, all of that. You have very big costumes
Yes.
that are out of so many fabrics that they cannot be washed the traditional way.
Yeah.
And therefore, here again, a new application for our refresher box. And then we also saw that the NASA invested into a large corporate, Procter and Gamble, a ton of money, $900 million, to develop a detergent
Oh wow.
with works
You
in
guys.
space. And there, of course, we thought, like, hey, okay, we can also, like, we already
Apply.
have this
Yeah.
product.
Just
Yeah.
let's
So
go
we
and
just
introduce.
wrote the NASA a small message.
You did.
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, no one replied.
But, no,
But-
well, hey
eventually.
NASA, you can hear this, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
hopefully,
yes.
hopefully.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
In space, you don't have chemicals, you don't have
Yes, yes.
water.
And you have the
So with the refresher box, you
refresher
can-
box, your solution,
Exactly.
NASA.
So we can bring it to space. So
Yes. Let's take it to space.
it's still on our to-do list to write
Yeah.
a small message to Elon Musk that he maybe uses it for the next
But
SpaceX.
it's really inspiring that it started from a person that was having a problem facing from time eventually, because every runners, or let's say every athlete, they always face this problem. But to make it action, I mean,
You
like,
guys don't take the problems and just sit with it.
Like, you
everyone,
just sit
every
like
every
this,
young
like,
people be like, "Hey, I want to solve this problem," but you actually go
like
and take the actions.
technically, practically, like with the engineering background, with
the chemistry
with the
background.
it's like kind of like inspiring
Solving problems.
for people like whoever listen to our Historia. You can start. There is nothing. It's
Absolutely.
impossible. Like
Absolutely.
from impossible to possible.
And actually, like more important, you can start without having too much knowledge in the field. I mean, to be
Okay,
honest,
yeah. People
what-
would think like, I mean, for me, when we met you, I would say he's a genius, like talented already. Not everyone has the book smartness, but what would you
Yeah.
say for the people?
I
Don't
would
be
say,
intimidated.
like, yeah, just start, because for example, with the rehabilitation glove, as I said, I was in school. So of course in school I didn't learn about like certification. I didn't know anything about the medical market. I mean, what you learn in biology is not something that can be applied here. And therefore, like, what I personally think, this is like I asked this question, for example, on LinkedIn, and it
Okay.
was a big dispute because parties, and also afterwards, after I asked it on LinkedIn, a lot of people approached me and said like, no, that's not true. And some people said like, I totally agree, is that as a founder, you need naivety,
Like,
like being, you do not naivety.
you like
No.
I would say,
naive, naive, or
It's
someone-
Naive, yeah, being naive.
Being
Yes,
naive. Ah,
being
okay.
naive.
True.
That's it.
that's
Just be naive, and people started having like discussions and
Yes,
communications.
because the one side says like, no, you shouldn't be naive. You should actually have the knowledge and bring something on the market that where you
No.
have the expertise in the field. But I think if you have the knowledge, then you
Make
might
it
be
complicated.
afraid. Yes, you
maybe
don't
it's
think.
gonna go, maybe it's not gonna go.
Yes,
Maybe
you
it will
think
gonna
there
work.
are some there are already some products. Why do I need something else? It's already working. Never change a running system, we say in Germany. And of course, so there are like the two parties.
Yeah, but
saying-
as a startup, you are running a startup. We are actually also starting our startup. And I would say even finding this podcast and this microphone and us sitting here, it took me 6 to 8 months. And at the beginning, nobody believed that I will find something like this. But you have the image and you have the belief.
Like
You have the
see,
why,
like from the why to
and the how is going to show up.
eventually.
yes.
So,
And then especially like, I mean, what did I
Yeah.
that like bringing something completely new into
Yeah.
a field, like
Yes.
like for example in our case the gamification
Yeah.
into rehabilitation, or
Yeah.
a waterless chemical free washing machine also at the beginning. Like I don't remember it exactly, but my co-founder still remembers it, like when he pitched the idea at this founders table, he like got the feedback, this doesn't work, this is like a foolish idea, and people laughed about him. So this like just keep on your idea and be
continue.
naive, because
Eventually you will gonna get it somewhere, somehow. It's gonna be that vision clearly, and it's gonna be from a dream imagination to a practical
yes, if I would have known how difficult the medical certification could be,
You wouldn't even start.
I guess I wouldn't have started. I would have just been now done with my engineering degree and work in some big company.
That's a really good
Yeah.
opportunity.
But now you are an actual problem solver, and you apply to this accelerator programs. You just don't sit with the ideas in your head. You actually take actions. You applied to South Korea as well, right? With your
Absolutely.
company.
That's why we're here right now,
Yeah.
because we got selected out of 2,500 startups to be invited by the Korean government to be here.
Congratulations.
See,
Thank
it
you very
started
much.
with an application.
Yes,
Believe.
exactly.
Yes.
So yeah, the refresher box in the future.
Yep.
So as we can remove stains as well, we proved that in the laboratory, and this will become then the next solution. And there are more than 100 million washing machines sold every single year,
Yeah.
like
Wow,
new washing
eventually.
machines. I mean, just imagine how much waste that is as well.
Yeah, to the environment, to the money.
for a product which
It's not
uses
even
then
eco-friendly.
resources again.
Yeah, it's not even eco-friendly.
And here we want to really make a change and bring a new product on the
Yeah.
market.
So this is your second, right? You have a
Yes.
third one?
Yes,
So
Can you give
However,
us a
like-
trailer?
absolutely.
Actually, we will definitely get you back to this podcast.
yeah,
We
very
need-
soon
Yeah.
to
So-
keep you updated.
So with the refresher box, I just want to say, like here it is also social entrepreneurship, because we want to change something for the environment. With the refresher box, we could actually save 1 gigaton of CO2 every year, which is quite a lot. And but of course, it is a bit more difficult because with the glove, you see smile in people's faces.
Yes, yes.
But trees, nature doesn't smile.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you don't see like, okay,
Like
you
intangible.
did change something. So of course, this is a side where I have personally the problem. I don't feel it on that way. But what I do see, like Fridays for Future, you maybe heard of that movement.
Okay.
Fridays for Future.
Did you hear
No.
of it?
Not
No,
at,
like,
not at
Can
the
you
moment.
enlighten us a bit?
you
Okay,
don't know
we need to
about
search.
the Scandinavian girl, like. this-
Oh, yes. Okay, that's her name. What was
No,
it?
she started the movement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Fridays
Oh,
for
right.
Future.
It have been.
Ah,
very-
that's the name of her movement.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
We know about her, but
perfect.
the way that you
So,
mentioned
yeah,
us-
go ahead.
And like, I mean, this shows like our generation is
Thoughtful.
really trying to change something,
Yeah.
which maybe our parents and
Yeah,
their
we're not
past,
aware
like,
of.
Yes. So this is something, and then also like really seeing, okay, we can actually make here a change, just by starting it, not just
Yeah.
going out, but really just start an idea which can change the nature.
Yeah, I would say start your idea and then don't be afraid to fight for it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
always like to
You
to
will meet your
process-
tribe as well.
to process it at the beginning. Maybe it will be challenging in terms of like, oh, how can I get funded? What is the location? Is it
The
gonna
big
be
questions.
enough?
Yeah.
And so on. But eventually, things we're gonna connect the dots.
So
As long as like you said, like, okay, I'm gonna do it no matter what, and how the path is gonna be. Yes, you might have strategy, you might have your own agenda and plan and so on, but still, like, there will be a lot of struggle. So don't give up.
True.
Yeah.
However, I would add maybe to that that if you should still be open for changes and like feedback, because
Yeah.
what we realized is that, for example, with the glove,
Yeah.
I mean, we had this glove with like a lot of features in it, and then to see people training with it, we realized, okay, which games do they like, how to adjust the games.
Adaptive.
Absolutely. To be honest, we started with very complicated games, like three-dimensional games. We like to play ourselves, and therefore we thought like, okay, we need to make a game which is like what we like to play, and
But
this,
it's not the truth.
It's not the
yeah,
reality. Need to be
what we
little.
then saw, like, okay, people who have a stroke, for example, they might have some visual impairment, or who have some other injury, might have some cognitive.
So make it as simple as
restriction.
possible.
So we realized, okay, we need to make it a bit easier and
Yeah.
like
And adjust
graphics
from
easier. However, what we try to do with our games to make it fun even for us and therefore for adults, because what we see on the medical market, gamification is often very much for childish.
okay.
Like you swim with a small fishy around and or collect some suns. I don't know. Something where you don't want to play if you are over 10 years old.
Yeah, it's not that interactive for all ages. Yeah.
Absolutely. And therefore this is something we try to always keep
Solve.
in mind. And I mean what I wanted to say is
Yes,
like
yes,
just
go ahead.
to really be open to new paths. For example, with the refresher box, if we would have stick to just a shoe cleaning
Just, yeah.
device, we wouldn't have get to the idea that we actually can build a washing machine of the future, that we can revolutionize the washing process. And yeah, so be also open for new opportunities. And
Okay.
Yes. Be adaptive and be like flow like a water. You can be in a jar or in a glass.
yes.
Yeah, or in a river or in the ocean. Anyway, yeah, be
Yeah.
that's what
flexible.
you say for a startup. You should believe in what you want to do, but at the same time, with the circumstances, you would advise a person to be not too stubborn, right?
Yes,
That
don't be
flexible.
stubborn. There are some
Stubborn.
entrepreneurs who are
Yeah.
like very focused on what they do, and they don't listen to the feedback of the audience,
And they lose those big opportunities.
and then they
that's-
just get stuck.
Yeah, that's stuck, and we don't want to be stuck at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
The world
be
is so
stagnant.
big.
There are maybe when you just mentioned the fish and the water. There is actually a very nice metaphor which might be interesting to one or the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
About that, try to be a fish in a small glass, then a large fish in a small glass rather than a small fish in a large ocean. What I wanted to say with that, like what we experience with our glove, that the VR market, like gaming market, is like huge.
It
there
is.
you have like all the big companies,
Very
playing some-
overwhelming.
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
overwhelming.
like Google, Microsoft, Apple, and so on.
Yeah.
And therefore, you cannot really make a change because they are like the leaders. And to make a change
Yes.
in that, you need to pour a lot of money into
Yeah.
marketing and so on.
Mm.
So, what is good if you can find a niche for your
Niche.
startup to
That's-
actually start. So this is like then the concept of the big fish in a small
Yes.
ball to start. And if this fish is big enough and
Yeah.
is growing kind of out of that ball, he can jump in the ocean and be a big fish.
Yes.
Instead
Exactly,
of starting
eventually.
as a small fish in the ocean and just
Yeah.
get a
Get lost there.
yeah,
That's
or
really
like
a really
So-
wise.
That's what I wanted to touch on. You might have a big idea, as you said, the game, the virtual reality, the whole thing. It was a big thing. But when you break it down and put it in a niche, that's how you started really solving problems.
yes.
And this is how it
Like
started growing as
eventually,
a
like
bigger
it's getting-
fish. So I would say if a person, sometimes as startup or entrepreneurs, we're so excited to solve many things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
like
we
here,
are so
there,
like-
I
we
there,
are-
love that.
we are everywhere.
Yeah, and all opportunities and doors
Yes.
open. But like you would advise, and I would advise, because we are already doing solving problems, is start with one thing.
Yes. Start to
Focus.
focus, but still like look which doors are there.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
there is something which is really exciting.
It could be this,
Yes.
it could be that, and then
Just
little
look
bit
in the
balance.
door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but focus on starting and then growing up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
It was really nice hearing all the stories, and really we wanted to catch up more and more.
We wouldn't stop
But
talking,
you-
actually.
Yeah.
But it's
you
so-
don't want to open the third book, I have the
we do.
feeling. huh?
Well, we do want to. Maybe say a little, like, let's close with it. Tell us what's the third thing.
Yes.
maybe?
So
Maybe?
the third one is
Yeah.
about accessibility,
Mhm.
and there I can also talk a lot. So it's about accessibility through 3 pillars. So our startup. Should we start with the name, because we talked
Yes.
so many
Starting with
times
the name
about
is
Yeah.
is always
So-
like
so
give us
our-
the hint.
name is also unique. It's called Autark.
I'll
That
talk.
might not say anything to you,
Yeah.
but it has a meaning in German, and it means independent. So our goal is to be independent. And this is like very crucial. Like maybe most people don't realize it, but if you sit, for example, in a wheelchair, you're extremely dependent on getting from A to B,
Yeah.
over hurdles, over barriers in between. And how we wanna try to solve that is through 3 pillars. So first is hardware.
Okay.
So we're developing some hardware solutions. Then we develop some software solution, and the third one is not related to product, but what we wanted to create and what we saw in the other 2 startups. Hey, we just make hardware, but what we need to change is actually more the mindset of our humans. So therefore our third pillar is awareness. So to create actually awareness for the topic of accessibility,
Okay.
that we have just in Germany 1.6 million wheelchair users. That like 1% of the population, which is a lot. And
Actually.
if you look at the whole world, of course, this is like gigantic amount.
Yes.
Yeah.
But why don't we see so many people, for example, here in Korea, on the street in with a wheelchair? There are, of course, a lot of barriers in daily life, and so therefore, for example, the hardware, we built a stair climbing wheelchair. I think that is like the
That's
easiest.
revolutionary.
This is
Wow.
the easiest product to explain because the name explains itself.
Yeah,
It's a
independent.
stair climbing wheelchair. So what we are trying to build is a wheelchair which is not just stair climbing, but actually also affordable for people, and which is portable. Because when you see electric wheelchairs out there,
Yeah.
you
It
should
takes a lot
ask
of space,
yourself
yeah.
how heavy are they and how big are they?
Yeah.
And most of them are like kind of a small tank,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
you drive around. And most of them are weighing more than 150 kilograms.
Yes.
Definitely
kind
more
of-
than 100.
yeah,
And
it is
like
kind of
imagine 100 kilograms you cannot take with 1 person. With 2 it's
No.
still heavy. With 3 it starts to be possible. But how do you want to bring your wheelchair into your car if it's that heavy and you always need someone? So
Exactly.
therefore, like, our name comes back in place. Being independent with the wheelchair, actually getting out of your own home, being able to go wherever you want. But because what we realized, even with the glove, we saw patients sitting at their home and training with the glove, sitting in a wheelchair at the same time, which were not able to exit their own house
Yeah.
without the
support.
help of others. So they were kind of in
Stuck.
a cage.
Yeah.
And couldn't change the apartment out of several reasons,
Yeah.
and therefore stuck at that place. And therefore we want to change something with our stair climbing wheelchair. So actually to really bring in the stories, we started Autark because in the Syntrack team, David worked with us, who sits in a wheelchair. I myself live in the ground floor, but I do have 6 stairs at the entrance. So every time he visited us, and we had our office at that time in my
Okay.
own home, we had to carry him all the 6 steps up, 6 steps down,
And
which
it's
isn't
really
just like
kind of
heavy,
fair.
of course, for us, but of course dangerous for him. Like he could fall down. In emergency case, he couldn't be
Yes,
able to come out.
eventually.
And therefore, this was the starting. Why is there no stair climbing wheelchair on the market? And this is where we started to develop that solution, and then came up. Okay, there's so much more to solve.
To do.
And this is why we created Autark. We also like around
Independence,
20 people. And with the hardware, it's not just the stair climbing wheelchair. People came to us with their own idea. So Patricia from Hamburg came to us, and she is using partially a wheelchair and wanted to travel to New York
Okay.
and wanted to carry her luggage with her. And
Oh.
I think, yeah,
It's
just
kinda-
imagine it. Like maybe most people here, I guess, never thought about it.
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
people in a wheelchair carry their luggage with them? And like me neither. I thought
you
like,
never thought.
Yeah, I mean,
that's there's actually a problem. How do you do that? And so she suggested
Yeah.
to make a small kind of trailer to the wheelchair so that you can take your usual backpack, whatever, with you.
okay.
And so this is what we did together. We developed a very small, easy device, very cheap, that you can put on your wheelchair to attach then a suitcase to your wheelchair and drive around freely. So being again independent of
Yeah.
someone who
Yeah.
carries the luggage for you.
Wow.
So
That's
this is something which
inspiring.
is on the market.
Yeah.
So all 3 companies have products on the market.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah.
You already did all of the 3. You are running all the 3 startups now?
Yeah, all 3 startups.
Can we
are
say
not,
about the wheelchair, like it had been almost like 2 to 3 years, or it was like
the wheelchair
the
is the
duration.
newest one.
Is the
The
newest
newest
one.
one.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Exclusive.
first,
Exclusive.
Syntract, it
Syntract.
started. It's a school project. Then I met Stefan, and we did build a refresher box, and then we started to create Autark. But I do have to say, I mean, it wouldn't be possible without such great teams. So
Yeah,
every startup
teams.
is independent. So they're independent startups, have their own goals and achievements, own teams, own fundings, and so on. However, of course, through me as the connection as a bound, as one of the bounds, it is a help that all 3 startups build hardware products, and of course we have partnerships then with hardware manufacturers which can help us in all 3 startups, and so therefore it makes it easier, and like the network definitely helps at that point. To bring like startups out of the very same field
That's
together.
really amazing. That's really amazing.
Yeah, I would still talk a little bit. How do you manage all that? Just in short.
So
Are you life work balancing or do you work more?
less life, less and more work.
And
I think a lot of people agree that I don't have that much free time. I also did perform during Corona a sleep rhythm of sleeping just 2 hours per day. I don't know if you
How did you
know,
manage that?
if you know about that. Like it's called polyphasic sleep.
man, now I feel guilty. I sleep a lot.
Okay,
So
maybe
But come
during the
on.
weekdays it's like less sleep, but during weekend, if there is free time, it's like sleep number 1.
No,
For us, like-
actually, this polyphasic sleep, you have to keep through it. Otherwise, you won't survive it. Because everyone of us, like, not everyone, most of us sleep a monophasic sleep. That means like you have one time you sleep at night.
Yes.
And in that sleep, you usually have like multiple sleep phases, like around 4 to 5 sleep phases where you fall into deep sleep. Then you
Yes.
wake up a bit, then you
Yeah,
fall
yeah.
back and sleep. And what the polyphasic sleep is about, that these deep sleep phases, you actually take over the whole day. So you put away the unnecessary waking up part in between and just have the deep sleep over the day. And there is this Dymaxion, which is then every 6 hours sleeping for 30 minutes. So as in Corona times, I didn't have to travel,
Yes.
and everything was on Zoom. I thought, like, why not just try it? And
And you
actually,
practiced that.
yeah, I did do it
Wow.
for 2 months, and then I stopped again because then it was Christmas time.
Yeah.
And when I'm at home, of course, I cannot just go sleeping, and therefore then I stopped it completely afterwards. But there is what I wanted to say. Like, there are several methods you could use. There is not much clinical trials about the topic of polyphasic sleep, and there is like a kind of a debate about it. But there are certain ways, and I mean,
Wow,
yeah.
that's really inspiring.
And then of course, like, everything is something where I'm intrinsically motivated, and that's
Yeah.
why I
You
keep
try.
working
What do
on
you?
it. Because I want to help the nature, I want to help the people, and therefore this is something I want to work on, and I think this is the best way to go, because then everything you do
Yes.
doesn't feel that much like work, but rather something like being helpful.
This is so nice. Like, I would say you are one of the most people that I have met who inspired me to live the highest self potential. And like, your whys are bigger, and even like managing your sleep, and you learn all these patterns and learn these new concepts and apply it in your life to be able to manage 3 startups. That's a big thing. So thank you.
Meanwhile, I'm still studying mechanical engineering.
Yeah, and do
That's-
also studying because you need that knowledge to apply. And
I would say entrepreneurship, it's not just about like how to start the product and so on. No, it actually create you more to see yourself going through more beyond your expectation. Like, my limitation is just like 1, 2, 3, but you will never know like how far you can be because you own your own ideas and how to proceed it. Yes, eventually we're gonna get some support, some help, some feedback. Always like the customers, they will gonna give you like some kind of fruitful ways of improving because they are the one who is actually using the product. But at the same time, when you own something, it's different when you work for someone else. So that's how I would say the passionate of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I would encourage everyone who ever wants to have any kind of ideas, just like go for it.
Yeah, but I feel
Yeah.
like also entrepreneurship is actually a personality. It's someone else's. Yeah, like if it's built in, some people are built in. What would you would say?
That is a nice topic to talk about. I am not so sure. I think I need to think a little bit about it. But okay, for now, I would say everyone can start. Some people, okay, maybe they need some like rather orders, and they want to have a structure like which is given, and they want to see where they're heading towards to. And then startup is not like perfect because startup will never be like as you imagined it.
Yes.
Like, if you look at our first business plan, the one I described at the beginning,
Yeah.
I would be like a multiple billionaire by now. And so it will never develop like you originally planned. It might develop better or worse, but it will be different. And therefore, it might be difficult, definitely, for some people to go that way. But what I think is, I actually heard it once from one motivational speaker. He said,
You like that too? Same.
Yes.
Always the motivation speaks are like my adrenaline.
yes,
Yeah, we need
definitely,
that, yeah.
especially like TED Talks.
Yes.
Always.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what he said, like, as a child, we were all the same, right? We all took a pen and just drew on paper, and we were all creative.
With our creativity,
Yes.
with our
100%.
pattern.
Yeah.
Just started to draw whatever came into our
Yes.
mind,
Yes.
and then somehow we stop in our life to be that creative way and just to get out of the box.
Yeah.
And I think this is like what I wanted to take from that is really this. Everyone still has this creativity in it, like
Yes.
this child who actually want to draw whatever he wants to draw or she wants to draw. And yeah, so I think this is something which is in everyone. Entrepreneurship itself, of course, what I do need to admit is there is a lot of business in there. Like it is about business.
Yes.
And so even if you have the best impact idea,
Yeah.
at the end of at the end you need to kind of have a business model
Yes.
to stay
To keep it going.
yes, to keep it running, because you cannot live just from donations.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Eventually.
therefore this is something you need to keep in mind. And what I experience with a lot of people, that this business part is not something for them. But I mean, that's why we are having interdisciplinary startups, right? Because
yes.
there are coming people together out of all areas
Yes.
and supplementing them each other,
Yeah.
and therefore really can build a strong team. Because, for example, with Refresherbox, we have electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, chemistry, biotechnology, business, marketing. So we have like so different backgrounds,
Yeah.
which I have to admit, sometimes it can like
Conflict or
yes,
like
a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but this is important
Very
because this
essential.
will create like will show you, oh, I really didn't think about that. And not like everyone just running in the same direction until you hit the wall.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, so I can just advise, even if you don't have the idea yourself, there is so much out there, like people with ideas, with like problems where you can work on. So this is also something a lot on entrepreneurship events. I get the question from people who say like, oh, I want to start a startup, but I don't have the idea yet. What should I do? And that's why I even made the t-shirt, which says like, the world is like full of problems. Just open your eyes. Like there is so much inequality in like, for example, with genders.
Yeah.
Still nowadays, even especially here in Korea, the payment difference
Yes.
between
100,
man and
yeah.
woman is extreme.
Yeah.
And then you have like poverty around the world. You have hunger. These are like, of course, the very extreme and the biggest topics.
Yes.
But what I think is that you don't have to solve the whole thing. I mean, the Refresherbox, it will replace the washing machines, which like saves 1 gigaton of CO2, which is great.
Yep.
But it will not like solve everything. I
Yes.
mean, there will be still cars running with fuel.
Part of
Yeah.
it. It's just only part of it, but also there is an open market to go for something else. So-
Absolutely. So,
The thing that you said, there are a lot of problems, and people, sometimes young people or even older people, when they sit and sometimes become grumpy about how the world is not moving and all these problems, choose a problem to solve, would you say?
and yes, and especially something where you're passionate about.
Yes.
Because you need to
can't do
burn
everything.
for this idea.
Yeah.
And
You need the
be
fuel.
aware that like startup is not about making money.
Yes.
Because if you have this idea, then you will fail because you cannot make that much money in the beginning.
Exactly.
And therefore, find something where you're passionate about, what you want to change. Maybe because of personal reasons. That's I think especially the best way.
Yes.
Because then you have the direct connection. Then you can understand where it's coming from. For example, in the wheelchair, like building a wheelchair, of course, I'm not sitting myself in a wheelchair. So for the ones who listen to it,
Yes.
so I receive a lot of this feedback. Hey, you're yourself not sitting in a wheelchair. How do you want to build a product
That you are
helps-
not
Yes.
feeling yourself.
And
okay.
this is something which was there especially at the beginning, a bit like block to us. But because of our friend, and like I also tried it myself for 2 weeks, going with the wheelchair everywhere around.
You experience it by yourself, like to know all
because
the feeling.
I wanted to
Solve
like
the
know
problem,
how
yeah.
it is, and then I experienced things what I didn't thought about before. Because, for example, when I took the wheelchair and drove around, I realized with the hands you're always directly next to the wheels, and actually you're also touching it. With
Yeah, and you can hurt your hand actually.
not just that, but what
whole-
I realized is when I drive through, for example, train stations,
Okay.
Yeah.
and there is like the urine and like it smells.
Oh,
my
you
God.
You
go
are
through all
actually
the
driving through all of that and having it.
all over your hand. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if it rains,
You can
like
all the
hard
mud.
to grab. And then if it's very cold, your hands are
Will be
freezing and you don't
very-
want to grab that. If you go downhill, it gets very hot actually holding it and like braking with it.
Yeah, the
So,
metal itself. Yeah.
Yes, there are so many things which I didn't saw before. And then what's most important to actually also speak just with people and just get most like experience out of different fields, and everyone sees something a different way.
Yeah.
Yes,
Everyone
yes.
will have a different view on something, and therefore try to just talk and speak about it.
Speak about it and ask people who are having the problem,
Rather
or the
than-
experts.
Rather than just
Yeah.
going for the how to process things without seeing the person who's actually suffering from
Yes.
the thing.
Yeah.
So with the
always like-
glove, we also directly went into the hospitals to try the glove to see, okay, how do they react? What do they think about the idea? And yeah, like there we come actually back to the MVP, because after I never read any like books or like
Resources.
yes,
I
I
would say.
didn't read much about like entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I experienced like there are some founders who first read so much about it.
Same
and-
like me.
That's what we actually do.
Oh,
That's why maybe that's our problem, and then this is how we try to make a solution, which is create Istoria to learn through research. But in your case, it started the other way around.
Yes, I just went like with my head through the wall, like directly.
Which is very organic, actually. That's the best way.
So just like
Yeah.
finding it out myself, where we're gonna hit, and like need to change our product or whatever.
Yeah.
And now I need to be careful what I say about reading all the entrepreneurship books. But what I
But no, of
experienced-
course, no. Actually, I wouldn't say be careful. I would say we learn from each other for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
But everybody has their own way of
the path, yeah.
every path is so different. Some of them
Yes.
they started with books and then go to the entrepreneurship. Some people they started just organically.
See, solving a problem.
following their intuition and their guts, and then on the way they can discover, and then that self-help book it will gonna help them more.
Yes.
But they are really strong, like from
Yeah.
themselves.
But don't get like blocked by books, because what I saw with some people, there's especially one person who I have in mind who just read so much but never started to build a startup. And I'm always telling like, why don't you just try it? Just you already read enough. You already read more than 100 books. What do you want to learn more?
Yeah.
But like he kept saying like, yeah, what if this happens? And I still want
Many
to know
thoughts.
about that.
And many thoughts, many
Yes,
concerns. That's
the
not gonna work.
concerns are building up, and like try to just start already and
Yeah.
learn on the way. But I have to admit myself that I read this Lean Startup, or
Okay.
like I listened to the
A
audiobook.
book. Yes.
Yes, Lean Startup from Reese.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you know that?
At the moment, no, but I will gonna write
That's
it down.
what I was actually going to ask you. What book do you read? And you gave us.
The start one.
Yeah.
So when I listened to it, I mean, it was already after we started all the startups
But
and
it still
had the
was.
products on the market. But I realized, okay, I should have listened to that earlier or read it earlier, because it showed all this about MVP. And
So
I
books are
realized,
essential.
oh shit,
See?
huh? It's actually saying what I just
Needed.
had to
Oh.
Go through.
experience a very harsh way.
Yeah. So
And-
yeah, you said it. Actually, people hesitate sometimes to read a book, but I would say personally,
Balance.
if you
Balance.
actually found, or maybe sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you have to search, but the book can be like a GPS, right?
It can at least
At
like
least kind of show you the shortcut.
I wouldn't say
like,
shortcut, but I would say
yeah.
like it's gonna give you
It's
a
showing
lead.
you the barrier, like
Yeah.
how you maybe could overcome that
Yes.
if you approach that.
Yep.
But also, like, he writes very nicely about MVP, and I realized even my understanding of MVP was too high. Like his
He broke
how
it down,
he-
made it simplified.
MVP in his
Point of
his
view.
book is so simple. Like for example, like building a stair climbing wheelchair. We thought about it. What would be the easiest MVP?
Okay.
And we realized it's not making any wheelchair, but just standing next to a staircase, and if a wheelchair user come, carry him up. And then like this could be the MVP, because you realize, okay, is it of a help if you like solve this problem? And could you maybe even charge for this? And then you can ask the wheelchair user, would it help you if this would be like an integrated in your wheelchair?
Okay.
And so on. Like just very, very simple to start. And this I wasn't aware of.
So the
to-
book was,
Yes.
yeah, it was
Interesting.
helpful
Yeah.
and interesting and a
And-
shortcut.
Sorry, like interesting is never a very describing word. It's
Yeah.
like
But it's okay.
a bit generic.
Yeah.
I think it has so much truth in it.
So that's the thing. It has the truth and it's had the roadmap. Okay.
Okay.
Just have a look. It isn't that thick, and it's like
Okay.
the lean startup.
The
I
lean
think this
startup
is something
recommended.
people
would-
also have maybe heard of. It is about really going to your customer, get feedback, get back to the lab, work on it, get out again. Work on it, like really turning in cycle, and not
Amazing.
just work first on the product and then go out and
This is
realize
this is
it's
actually
wrong.
this is actually what it's gonna be, but nobody gonna teach us unless we do it by ourselves.
Yes.
Lean
Just-
startup
just
recommended. It's one. It's gonna be like the top
Okay.
of the list of the books that I will be reading
Okay.
for next month.
I was gonna buy it tonight.
All right. Thank
eventually.
you so much, Gernot. We would not stop talking.
Yes.
But we would like to have you again, maybe January, like when
Of
you come
course.
back to Korea. And good luck with all your endeavors and more problems that you are already solving.
And maybe we're gonna hear another
Startup.
startup, another
I
category.
have to admit that my list of startups is like still very long.
That's
Um,
amazing.
And yeah, as soon as we have more possibilities,
Yeah.
but like 3 is like max. There is no way to push
Yeah.
in more.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Let's do
the
the three
one
and do
after
them
each
very
other.
well. Yes.
Yes.
But eventually, maybe in some years, you will do others.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
next time we
Or-
will meet, and
Yes.
eventually we will gonna have a new product
I
to talk
can
about.
also tell you what my personal thinking, which technology will change the world the most,
Okay.
is about, and it's actually also
Let's stay in
hardware,
tune.
not
Let's
just
stay in tune.
AI.
Not an AI.
Nothing. Yeah,
a
nothing.
software.
Blockchain, AI, no buzzword.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
something very different.
I'm so curious. to
Hardware.
tune in.
Okay.
Hardware.
okay,
And
okay,
I
okay.
love it.
All
Okay,
right. Okay.
okay,
That's
okay.
great. Thank you so much for today. And I hope everyone is going to enjoy this podcast on YouTube and all our platforms out there. And this wouldn't have been possible without Google for Startups. So shout out to Google.
Yes.
And thank you, Gernot. See you soon next
Yeah,
time.
See you
Thank
next
you very
year.
much for the invitation.
Yeah.
Everyone who is listening, of course, feel free to contact me, reach
Yes.
out. on
Eventually, we will
LinkedIn,
gonna
on my
shout
website.
all the
Yeah, all your contacts on the description box.
Of course.
and
Yes.
then good
Happy
luck.
to see you soon again.
Yes.
Sure. See you next year.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.